Peace, everybody. Sweet Science Boxing Academy. We back with another video. All right, y'all. So it's Sunday now. The weekend is basically over, and we had some fights this weekend. We had fights on Friday. We had fights last night. Uh, where should we begin? I think we should start with Friday night. I think that uh I think that would suffice. I so I called the fight. I did a live commentary fight night. I started during the co-main with Amanda Serrano and Mike Tyson. Now I watched the entire card, and I wasn't gonna like do no live commentary, but during the co-main, I said, you know what, might as well just do a live commentary because I thought all the fights on the card was very interesting. Um, but the Shushu fight when he fought Caldwell, that was good. I like the Lucas Baldi versus the other guy, Lucas Body, but I thought that Body lost the fight. They gave it to Body anyway, probably because he's a knockout artist. He's 17-0 with 15 knockouts. Well, now he's 18-0 now with 15 knockouts. But he went up against a guy who was 14-0 with three knockouts. And I'm assuming because he only had three knockouts, he didn't have that much backing behind him. Kind of like Tevin Farmer, but he was putting the pressure on Body, and he was hitting to the body. I was loving it. Even the dude Body was like, you could tell by his mannerisms that he was giving my man a lot of respect. And at the end of the fight, when they was saying who won, Body didn't even look confident when they was saying the scorecard. That goes to show you something right there. I thought that was the first robbery of the night. I'm like, oh, they gave it to him instead of him, and it wasn't like it was a good fight. It was a close fight, but it wasn't as close to where it was clear Body won. Like that dude got robbed, and I didn't like that. I was like, oh man, so that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. The start of the night for the fight. That was only like in the preliminaries. But then when you got to like Mario Barrios and Ramos, I thought that was a pretty entertaining and good fight too. Both fighters dropped each other. I think Barrios, I think he took his hand off the trigger for a while, and that's how he ended up getting dropped. I don't know, maybe because he dropped Ramos earlier. He thought early in the fight, he thought that he could coast through. Ramos just proved that he was just that Mexican dog, and he was coming at him. And I thought it was a good fight. Uh, I actually thought that Ramos won a fight. If I'm being honest with you, but it wasn't no rematch clause, so I don't think that Barrios and his team would fight Ramos again. And he gave him an opportunity. It wasn't like he was supposed to fight him; it was mandated. It was only an opportunity, and he barely escaped with a draw. So I don't think that they're going to give Ramos an opportunity again. But if he can't get no other big fight, uh, shoot, I would like to see Mario Barrios versus Blair Cobbs in 2025. That'll be a dope fight. I might actually make a separate video talking about that fight, breaking that fight down between the two fighters. But I think that actually will be a good fight in 2025. Mario Barrios versus Blair Cobbs. If Barrios can get like a unification bout with one of the other champions, then I think Blair Cobbs would be an entertaining fight for Barrios, especially because he just got dropped by Ramos. I think that would be dope. But when you move on to the co-main with Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, it proved to be one of the most entertaining fights of women's boxing. Again, they first fight 2 years ago, they was getting it into the end, and this one was pretty much the same. Now, what I didn't like about this was that Katie Taylor, she lost that fight, and she knows she lost that fight. Katie Taylor, all she kept doing was smothering Serrano, which ain't a bad thing at all. You smother her. But she kept giving her them headbutts. Like, what was going on with them damn headbutts all night? And she kept doing it deliberately. And the referee gave her several warnings before the referee even took a point from her. So I don't that's why I said Serrano got robbed, because clearly she was winning the fight. Now Taylor, she was getting some shots in too. It wasn't like Serrano was dominating her, but Serrano was winning that fight, and Katie Taylor got a point took it away from her. And I think one of the judges had it like 98-92 at the end, which was a wide ass margin, which means you had Katie Taylor pretty much winning every single round except for two, which was clearly biased, because Kate, how you going to have the scorecard 98-92 and she got a point taken away from her? Like, I don't get that. That's crazy to me. Like, I don't know what's going on with Serrano and the powers that be in boxing with the politics, but I don't know. Maybe she rubbed someone the wrong way. Maybe her manager, or promoter, or something, people's, because it's like they don't like that girl. She, first of all, she's a multiple division champion. She done moved up several weight divisions, and she beat the hell out of Katie Taylor with basically one eye. Like, y'all can go back on my page and watch my live stream when I did the commentary live. That eye was hanging. That thing looked crazy. That's a beautiful, gorgeous young lady. But that eye was open. Like, them gashes like that be looking. Remember when Badu Jack for Marcus Brown? I think it was like 2017, 2018, and I think they clashed heads or something like that. Something happened when Badu Jack had this big gash in the middle of his head. It was just open, and that thing looked nasty. But instead of the head, it was over top of her eye, right underneath her eyebrow, and it looked like her whole eyelid was about to hang off. Shoot, truthfully told, it was looking like her eyelid was hanging off towards the end of the fight. But and it happened, I think, in the fourth round, somewhere in the fourth round, toward the end of the fourth, and I thought they was going to stop the fight right there, but given the stakes, two women, I kind of felt like they weren't going to do that. That's probably due to like Jake Paul and all of them, because Serrano was a Jake Paul fighter, so they probably didn't do it like that. So I'm glad for that, but I just upset that they robbed my girl like that, Serrano. Like, they did her real dirty, and I don't know. Like, they need to do like basketball or something like that, like a seven series type game type fight. See who's going to win out of that, because I'm pretty sure if they fought again, I think Katie Taylor actually might get knocked out, especially because of how she was looking in this fight and how like her balance was like way off, and I just believe that Amanda Serrano, she would be so determined this time around if they fought again, that she wouldn't want to leave it into the judge's hands. So she will want to take care of herself and get that KO. And I believe she can do it, especially after watching this fight. I think that she can knock out Katie Taylor. But it won't be easy, because Katie Taylor is still Katie Taylor. She's still an excellent good fighter. But I think right now she's just going off for just her experience and skills. I think if she forced Serrano again, I think Serrano gonna stop her. I don't think she will leave it to the judge's hands no more, because they just keep doing her dirty. But it was a great fight. I can't complain. The fight was actually probably like the best fight of the night, to be honest with you, of that night. It was real good. But I didn't like how they did my girl Amanda Serrano. It was just dirty. But let's talk about the fight last night though, between Tevin Farmer and Williams Zepeda. Now, Farmer is my man, so I'm always going to be a little biased when it comes to Tevin Farmer, because I know him personally. Like we all from Philly, and although I never boxed in the gym with Tev because he started off at the King Center like with my little brothers and cousins, and I started off at the rec, but I still know Kev. I never sparred him. My brothers and cousins always sparred him back when we was all still amateurs. But that's still my man though. Like we still used to chill and all that stuff back in the day and all that. So I'm a little biased, but biased or not, uh, I don't know why the powers that be keep doing Tevin dirty. Like first, his last fight with Moritaya, he clearly won that fight, and I guess because Moritaya was undefeated and they got a plan for him. They didn't want him to lose to Tevin Farmer because Tevin Farmer already got losses on his record. They just using him because he's a former world champion. But I thought that he clearly got robbed in that fight. And then with this fight was Zepeda, which I thought Zepeda put up a better fight than Moritaya, but I thought that Kev beat Zepeda as well, just like I thought he beat Moritaya. And he dropped Zepeda too. Now, that don't necessarily mean you're going to win the fight if you get dropped, because you can get up and still beat the person's ass and win the fight. So getting dropped don't necessarily mean anything. But if we just going off of the fight itself, the shots that was landed, and not even just the shots that was landed, but the eye-catching shots, everything, you clearly see that Farmer was the better technical fighter. And the simple fact that Farmer don't even move like that no more. I remember he used to stay moving around the ring on some sweet pea stuff. He still dip and do all his movement, upper body and stuff, but he kind of like stay with you, stay close to you, and try to fight you down, which is a strategy I believe he should mix up. I don't think that he should just keep staying in the pocket. He probably should do that with certain fighters. Now, fighting Zepeda probably was a smart idea, doing it with him. But I think he should have moved around in spots. Look a little flashy, look a little more. Avoid certain necessary shots. Some of those shots, a lot of those shots wasn't even landing on him, but because he was so close and it was touching his skin, the illusion was he was getting hit when it was kind of like just like rubbing off on him. So I believe if Tev would kind of revert back to a little bit of his old ways with the movement like Sweet Pea, but with his new style with standing in the pocket and trying to fight you, I think he'll be I think he'd be good. But I was just watching the interview with Oscar De La Hoya, and De La Hoya said that De La Hoya is a Peter guy, but he liked Farmer, and he said that he messed around and signed Tevin Farmer because he believed that Tevin Farmer would be a world champion again someday, which I believe he would be too, depending on who you fight. So that's a good look for Tev as far as that. But I don't like how the way they cheated my guy. Like they keep robbing him. So we had a few robberies over the weekend. We got Tevin Farmer getting robbed. We got Amanda Serrano getting robbed. And we got the guy who fought Lucas Body on the Jake Paul undercard getting robbed. I'm just like, and I can see why now, why certain people don't like boxing, don't like watching boxing, because of so much politics in it, so much corruption, so many people getting paid bias that we're all seeing one thing, but the judges are scoring it another way. That's crazy. Like everyone clearly sees someone win the fight, but you scoring it another way. And then scoring it with the wide margin, like with the Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. Like I said, one of those guys gave it 98, 92. How the hell could you do something like that, even with Katie Taylor having a point deducted off of it? I mean, you had KD still winning all of their rounds except for two. That's beyond crazy to me. But like I said, that's what they do. But as far as with Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, that was a sad situation to watch. That was that was real sad to watch. To be honest with you, after the second round, because even in the second round, you see him starting to slow down. But I thought Mike Tyson won the first two rounds clearly, especially the first round, because Jake Paul ain't know what to do. Mike started off fast. He started off fast with that power. He just couldn't sustain it because of his age and his lack of mobility now. Had this probably been like 4 or 5 years ago, like the time when he fought Roy Jones in the exhibition, he probably would have been better. But right now at this stage, it just wasn't hitting for him. So Jake Paul, he feel good. He feel like he done something that's great, and uh he feel like he the man of the sport. Whatever about that. But after the fight, you had several people calling him out, and three of those people was um, current undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world, Artur Beterbiev, uh, current what is this, the WBC lightweight champion of the world, Gervonta Tank Davis, and undisputed two division world champion, former pound for pound king Andre SOG Ward. All three of these fighters called out Jake Paul, and I see all three of these fighters beating Jake Paul, even Gervonta Tank Davis. And I know a lot of casuals will be out there and will say like, "You crazy? Tank ain't beating no Jake Paul. Tank too small. He's too little." And none of that stuff made nothing. When you know how to fight and you got experience and you've been in this game and you in your prime, like because let's not forget that that's the key thing. You're in your prime. Uh, I'll tell you this one. I'll tell you this. I remember one time we was in the gym and my coach had his sparring, and it was this heavyweight dude there. Dude had to be about like 6'3", 6'4", or something. He had to weigh every bit of 250 plus. Now, mind you, he was kind of green compared to me and my cousins, meaning like he didn't have that much skills at the time. But he still had he was an amateur fight. He was a heavyweight boy. He was an older guy, and he was trying to turn pro, whatever. He probably had like 4 or 5 amateur fights, so he knew how to fight, but he just didn't have the experience like we did. And at the time I'm fighting, I'm a lightweight, so like I'm walking around like probably 145, no higher than 150, you know, and my cousin who was a featherweight, he probably like 120 something. So we sparring the guy, we like just sticking and moving. Well, first me, I'm sticking and moving, boxing him. I say he wasn't really that good or whatever, but he was big and strong and try to press you. So I just kept moving and stayed off the ropes and just popped him to the body here and there, popped him up top, and kept moving to the bell rung until it was over. My cousin got in there, who was my cousin who's more experienced than me, who's a featherweight. He was whooping boy ass. And boy started getting mad, and he actually grabbed my cousin and held him to the ropes and then start trying to tee off of my cousin. And it is so funny. I bring this up because we still talk about this to this day because this was about like 5-6 years ago. So the heavyweight boy teeing off of my cousin on the ropes, who's a featherweight, and dude like 250 plus 6'3". My cousin only like 5'7", like 5'7", 5'8", but he a featherweight. You know what I mean? But he got skills. But the bull trying to hold him and tee off on him. So my cousin like, yo, Fred. I ain't gonna lie. My cousin he was complaining a little bit. He's like, yo, Fred. He called him my coach. He like, Fred. He said, yo, no. So all right, here you go. Because I remember now. He was only supposed to go to the body. My Me and my cousin was going body head to him because that's how my coach do it. Like we'll do like if a person is bigger than you, like way bigger, then he'll have them just like throwing at your body, and you do body and head. You box them regular, and they just go to the body with you, or vice versa. And if he see you can hold your own, then he'll just say just go body head both ways or whatever. So that's how it was. We was sparring the heavyweight boy. I'm a lightweight. My cousin a featherweight. Dude like 6'3", 250 plus, but he green. He only had like 3 or 4 amateur fights. So like we looking at him like, all right, he ain't really that good. So we just gotta stick and move, cool. And he not allowed to hit us in our head. So I went first, teed off on him good. He get to my cousin fucking him up. Then he grabbed my cousin while he moving and held him on the ropes. My cousin like, Fred. My cousin like, Fred, yo, he hit me in my head because he wasn't supposed to hit him in the head. Fred was just like, well, you know what to do. Make him stop hitting you in your head. So Benny just like, all right. Benny got off the ropes. He got in the middle of the ring, and he made sure the bull don't touch him again, and just started beating him the hell up. And he made the bull quit. He actually stopped the bull. He didn't stop him as far as like knocking him out, but he stopped him where he made the bull quit. He didn't want to box no more. And dude was a heavyweight. Dude was like 250 plus, about 6'3", 6'4". My cousin only 5'7", 122. This was like 7-8 years. This is back when we was all still amateurs. But my cousin was good. He used to always fight Shakur Stevenson in the amateurs. So it wasn't like he can't fight. But the dude was big as hell. Dude was like real big. And he was trying to knock my cousin out. And my cousin just held his own and ended up stopping the boy. So that's why I be trying. So I say all that to say, if Tank did fight Jake Paul, yeah, I can see Tank beating Jake Paul because that size don't mean nothing if you got skills. And one thing my cousin don't really got is power. I can say that he not really a power puncher. He just box the hell out you. He'll stop you over time, accumulating shots just make you quit. Whereas though Tank, he got that equalizer. So if he catch you, he gonna hurt you. Even a bigger guy, he might not hit you, get you out because you're a bigger guy with one shot, but because naturally bigger people could absorb the punches more. But he gonna catch you a few of those times, and no one, I don't care how big you is, you get hit in that sweet spot, your chin or your temple, 2 or 3 times, your legs gonna buckle. You going down. Like you gonna need a moment to get your nerves together. And in boxing, that's a bad thing because if you fall, you get a 10 count, and if you don't get back up, you get knocked out. So I can clearly see that happening. I've seen several smaller guys and girls beat up on bigger people in the gym, uh, at exhibitions that I've been to, um, even in the fights or whatever. Now they're the same weight, but just the size differential is always be disparaging, and the smaller guy most times always win. So yeah, if Tank serious, not clout chasing, because I see people talking about Tank not serious about fighting Jake Paul. He just clout chasing, just using his name to stay relevant with all this stuff going on. And that could be true. Like that could be true. But I think Tank is a huge fan of Mike Tyson. And y'all see him put up the pictures of Mike Tyson and saying, "You will always be a legend. You will always be my hero." Like Tank look up to Mike. So I don't think it's just clout. I think Tank really feels some type of way, and he really don't like Jake Paul anyway. Like every time I've heard Tank talk about Jake Paul, it was never in a positive way. So the simple fact that now he beat one of his idols, yeah, I can see Tank being serious about it, and I can see the fight happening too. I can see the fight happening on the strength that Mike Tyson just fought Jake Paul, which that shouldn't have happened. That shouldn't even been sanctioned because dude is a damn senior citizen. So the simple fact that that happened, I can see that happening too. But you might say, well, that don't got nothing to do with anything. Like, all right, cool, I'll take that. Well, what about because they both heavyweights, right? Because some of y'all say, well, he still was a heavyweight. They weighed the same. Uh, Tank weigh this and Jake weigh that, so they'll never make that fight happen. Okay, cool. I hear you on that. Cool. Well, what about Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul? Y'all remember that? How much Floyd weigh? How much Logan Paul weighed? It's basically the same exact thing because Logan Paul weighed more than Jake Paul, and Floyd weighed a little more than Tank. And Floyd not a big dude, so if you actually take both of them, like both scenarios, it would actually kind of balance out being the same thing as far as the weight differential. Because I believe Tank outweighed. I mean, I believe Logan Paul outweighed Floyd by what 70 pounds or something like that. And I can see Jake Paul outweighing Tank about 70 pounds too. It would be the exact same thing. So I can see them making that fight happen. Or I should say, I don't see why they can't make that fight happen if you just had it 2 years ago with Floyd Mayweather and Jake's brother Logan Paul. So that would be that scenario as far as with Tank and Jake Paul. But then you got people like Artur Beterbiev and Andre Ward calling them out too. All right, well let's move on to Artur Beterbiev first. He's he's the current undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world. He's 39 years old, going on 40. So some people might say that he's about to be out of his prime. So that should be right up Jake Paul alley. You know what I mean? Someone about to be past their prime. Now, the problem is, though, is that he's still a current active fighter who knocked everybody out except for one opponent, which was his last, in Dimitri Bivol, someone I don't think Jake Paul will beat either. But Beterbiev, he called him out. He said, he'll love to give him that opportunity, give him that work. And then you had Jake Paul responding, talking about you got a pound for pound dude calling me out. I run this sport. Like y'all notice every time if it's someone who's actually dangerous and calling them out, he try to revert to like the superstar status and talk about the money and flashy stuff like that. Like trying to act nonchalant about it. But then when it's someone who he believes he can actually beat, then it's like the real trash talking, and then he talk about sending contracts and let's fight and all that. But when it's someone that actually can fight, he switch up and try to turn to a diva because that's really the only thing he can do. And it's smart. Don't get me wrong, it is smart because you'd be crazy to actually try to talk trash back and say send a contract. But if you pay attention to details, you realize all that. You peep game, and you peep all that stuff. And I peeped it a long time ago. Um, Even when he like on the podiums at the press conference talking to the other boxers, active fighters. I mean, to them he'll say something about money. I make more money than you, da da da, all that stuff. But he don't say nothing about fighting them because he know what he doing. He really don't want to fight a real fighter yet. And I think he probably will end up eventually fighting a real fighter. But what I think they're doing is, which is smart, but what I think they're doing is, because you remember, he just started boxing about 4 or 5 years ago. He had that one amateur fight on the DAZN undercard, and then he turned pro after that. So he been learning on the job. So all these fights that he's getting is his experience, is his amateur fights and all that stuff. The stuff that you'll be getting throughout the years as you're a kid growing up learning. He's learning on the job. And once they feel like he's confident enough to actually step in the ring with a real fighter, then they're gonna do that. And they probably waiting for a weak link, even a champion around the between the light heavyweight and cruiserweight or even heavyweight division, who's like short around him, like 6'1", 6'2", and someone who might be a weaker link, who may probably got like a vacated title, or maybe like a WBA regular, something like that. Someone they feel like he probably can beat, and then they would do something like that. They would try to call for that fight and take a risk on that. But I don't believe that they would take a risk on a Beterbiev or like a Bivol, somebody like that. Maybe Canelo because of the name and the money, so he might jump out the window and do something like that. But let's say if Canelo was like, I'll fight you. If he came out the next few days and was like, I'll fight Jake Paul, send him the contract, and it was like real serious, I don't think Jake Canelo would take that fight right now. Like they saying it now because they already know Canelo don't want to fight him. But if Canelo said I'll fight him for Cinco de Mayo weekend 2025, or even Mexican Independence Day weekend September 2025, I don't think they will fight him yet. I think they will wait maybe about 2 or 3 years for Jake to get more experience and to see if Canelo starts showing chinks in his armor. And then they would take that fight. Like this is he's doing something that boxing promoters been doing for years, and building up their fighters and stuff. And I think the people in the sport of boxing who actually know boxing see all this stuff. A lot of people who really don't watch boxing like that, who just watch the stars here and there and all that stuff, uh, they don't really know all that stuff. So that's why they don't understand why people who've been fighting all their lives, people who've been in the sport, dedicated to the sport, get so upset when they see stuff like that. Me personally, I never really got upset about this whole spectacle thing, but like with the YouTube boxers and Jake Paul and all of them. I actually always liked it. I thought it was always thought it was interesting because I always wanted to see something like that. More so like celebrity boxing, but I mean, you get celebrities involved in this stuff, so I guess that's the next best thing. So I always found it kind of cool, but what I'm saying was happening is now, because so many active real fighters acting like divas and don't want to fight each other. This is the type of shit you gonna get. And like with the misfit boxing, now like with misfit boxing, I like the lightweight division because I like Dean the Great and I like Lil Cray Cray because I've been watching them on YouTube for years before they even joined that stuff. It was just boxing in the street, and I used to always they from like two different states or whatever, and I used to always say I want them two to end up fighting one day. But now because they professional fighters and misfit, probably gonna end up fighting on a bigger scale. So that's more money in their pockets than doing like a street fight. So, and me being a fan of both of theirs for years, I'm a supporter of that. I like that, but I don't want to see. I don't want to just keep seeing this shit though. Like I want to see real fighters. I want to see Shakur Stevenson tanking them fight each other. I want to see all that, or even shoot. If they the Great or Cray Cray or what's the other dude name? Cray Cray about to fight the one he lost to the first time, because they all got amateur fights. It's not like Jake Paul, like how he just learned how to fight. Like Dean the Great, he was an amateur boxer. Cray Cray, he's still in the amateurs. Well, I don't think he's the amateurs no more because he signed with Misfit. But up until like a year ago, he still do amateur boxing. So they know how to fight. So they can end up fighting one of the world fighters one day. I would like to see that. That would be dope. But you never know. And then you got Andre Ward calling out Jake Paul now. Andre Ward been retired since 2017. And some of y'all may not know this, but Andre Ward is still one of my favorite fighters to this day. Like when I was boxing active, I used to always try to imitate Andre Ward's style. I just love Andre Ward's style. I like Terrence Crawford too. I probably like Terrence Crawford. I started liking him because I found out he was a switch hitter like me. I didn't even know nothing about him, and I seen that he switched stance and stuff, and it was something that I naturally did too when I boxed. So I used to like him. I started off liking him for that reason, and then when I started watching his fights, uh, back when he still had braids and stuff, I'm like, all right, he good or whatever. Because back in the day, when he first started switching, he wasn't that good southpaw, and I didn't really like his southpaw style. But after a while, he started when he fought like Ricky Burns, um, Crawford. His southpaw style still wasn't perfected yet, and cause see, I'm a natural southpaw, but I switch orthodox. But he the reversal. He's a orthodox fighter who switched southpaw. So I used to always criticize the south because I'm naturally southpaw. So when I used to see him switch southpaw back in the day, I used to critique it like, oh, it's not really that good. But after a while, it started getting good. Now his southpaw stance look better than his orthodox stance, and and I know that because sometimes my orthodox stance be better than my southpaw stance now. But so I started liking Crawford back then with that. But Ward always been my favorite fighter. Like Ward style and Ward, some of y'all may not remember, but Andre Ward was a switch hitter too. He used to always switch southpaw too. He for his last fight with Kovalev too. He switched southpaw right before he stopped him. The last couple of rounds, he was going southpaw, and he didn't do southpaw in years before that. So I was kind of surprised with that. And Andre Ward, he's about my age now. He about because I just turned 40 this year. I believe he's about 39 or 40, or he might. Or I think he probably just turned 40, or he probably still 39. But I remember we were around the same age. Uh, and he retired in 2017. Um, so that's 7 years removed from boxing. But if you look at him, he's still relatively in shape now. He look like he like a heavyweight now, but he ain't got no gut, nothing like that. Uh, he's solid. He just was recently sparring Terrence Crawford, preparing him for Madrimov. So he be in the gym. I be watching his grams and stuff. He still be in the gym training with the active fighters now. Uh, so yeah, I think that would be a good look too if we fought him. And I think Andre Ward would just stop. I think Andre Ward would stop Jake Paul probably like in the second or third round if it get that far. So it's because like Ward had those styles where he adjusted to any style he got in the ring with. Like he never fought no fighter the same. He and he just and he I love the way he maul you because Ward had that Andre Ward had the Roy Jones, Bernard Hopkins, and Floyd Mayweather style combined all in one. And that was a beautiful ass combination. I used to watch. I used to love. I still to this very day. I still watch at least twice a week. I will watch because I watch boxing every day. At least twice a week, I will watch an old Andre Ward fight. I will. I watch Bernard Hopkins fights. Uh, Probably like every other day. I may watch a Floyd Mayweather fight maybe like twice a month. Uh, I watch maybe like a Sweet Pea fight maybe like 3 times a month. Uh, because these type of styles I used to love. But my one of my other favorite fighters that I watch a lot is Willie Pep. I don't know if some of y'all may know Willie Pep, but Willie Pep was like one of the best lightweights ever who laced up the gloves. And the simple fact that he was so elusive, he was ahead of his time. He was moving like how Sugar Ray Leonard and Floyd now move back in the early 50s, fighting those guys. And his record, I think he went like 100 and I think he went like 100. I forget his record, but his professional record is like looked like Lomachenko's amateur record. Like this shit is crazy. And he only started losing towards like the tail end of his career. But his record was impressive. And these type of guys is the type of guys that I watch, I like. And and War is the same. He like them. He's like elusive. He maul you. He think. And when you got a fighter like that, it's hard to beat those guys. And Ward didn't lose a fight since he was 12 years old. So even if he is 7 years removed from boxing and decided to come out of boxing and fought Jake Paul, I don't think that he'll decide to lose to Jake Paul that night. Like it's not even really that hard because I think Mike Tyson would have beat him 4 years ago had they fought. Like the way Mike Tyson was in the ring with Roy Jones, had he fought Jake Paul then, he would have still beat. But within 4 years, his legs then he diminished that fast in 4 years. Like that bad. It's crazy. But he not the only one though, because shoot, 4 years ago, the president, Joe Biden, he was kind of like regular. And now look at him. 4 years ago, I mean, he was sounding like better than he is now. And now, in present time, 4 years later, you don't even know who the hell he is. He's saying he got dementia. So same thing with Mike Tyson. And this goes to show you that Father Time is just undefeated. But no two people are the same because Mike Tyson already had health issues and he had wear and tear on his body because probably another 50-year-old man would beat him who just don't got that much wear and tear on him. Like I can see Shannon Briggs going in the ring beating Jake Paul and beating him. I can see Lennox Lewis doing it. I can see both Klitschko brothers doing it. Uh, I can see David Tua doing it. You know what I mean? Like, so I guess it just depends on the person. I don't see Holyfield doing it. I see Holyfield getting knocked out, actually. I see Holyfield getting knocked out bad. But Holyfield got the wear and tear on him. Holyfield was a warrior. He, put it all on the line back when he was younger. So now that he like 55 and stuff, he ain't really got his faculties like that no more. So that's why I don't even want to see Holyfield fight no more. And now with Mike Tyson, it's clearly the same, not with the faculties, but just with the mobility. Mike Tyson always generated his power from his legs, from his thighs, from his quads, up to his back to his arms. And he had that spring in his step. That was his bread and his butter. He don't got that no more. So it's hard. It'll be hard for him to get off. And because he ain't got that no more, he can't do what he used to. I think that's why my coach always said, regardless of how talented you are, always learn the fundamentals. Because if you learn the fundamentals and the basics, once your body start deplenishing, you can always fall back on the fundamentals. And that's what makes Bernard Hopkins stand out above the rest. Because while you have Roy Jones, everyone was always talented, like extra talented and gifted. Bernard Hopkins was always stayed to the fundamentals and basics. And that's what gave him longevity. That's how he was able to box teams like 50, 51, something like that. So, uh, and remember, Mike Tyson, he wasn't like a fundamental boxer. He didn't jab 1-2, 1-2, step, step, pivot, side. He did all them pivots, turns and angles, short jumps, and all that stuff like that. Like I say, that was his bread and butter. And because he's older, he can't do that stuff no more. Now if he was a traditional boxer, 1-2, 1-2-3, 1-2-3 turn, pivot, jab, hook, stuff like that, then maybe at this age he can still be effective fighting someone like a Jake Paul at least, because he still got the fundamentals and basics and stuff, and he can just go off of that and keep Jake away with his stick or anyone doing exhibitions. But because he don't, it's kind of like Roy Jones. Once Roy Jones lost his athleticism, he wasn't there no more because Roy wasn't. And I was just watching like 5 days ago. I was just watching Roy Jones versus James Toney. And then I watched both Roy Jones versus Bernard Hopkins. The first one back when he fought in 91, and then the second one when he fought like in 2010, 2011 or something, like 23 years later, some shit like that. And you see the difference with the Bernard Hopkins 1 and 2. And it brings me back full circle with B-Hop, because while Rory was doing all that stuff to B-Hop, even though it was a close fight, the first fight, but Rory won the fight. But then the second fight, 23 years later, Bernard won the fight because Rory lost his athleticism, but Bernard, he got better due to his experience and staying with the fundamentals and keeping those fundamentals for all of years, mastering it. So when the time comes, that's how Bernard had that good run, beating like Antonio Tarver. He lost to Glenn Johnson, but it still was a good fight. He lost to Kawasaki, but that was a good fight too. But he had like a 10-year run, something like that, B-Hop. And then when he fought like Kovalev and all of them, like Kovalev beat him, but because he was so fundamentally sound, he didn't get knocked out by Kovalev. It wasn't until he got in his 50s, I think when he fought John Smith, he got knocked out of the ring. That was the last fight. But that's when Father Time was starting to catch up with him. And you're like, all right, I got to, retire, because I can't do it no more. But the longevity came because of the fundamentals. If people had the fundamentals, and it was John Smith. I think if B Hop had fought Jake Paul at 51, 52, I think he still would have beat the hell out of Jake Paul. But he fought someone who actually know how to box. He's been boxing for years and stuff. I think John Smith would knock out Jake Paul too. So it would be a good look if who was it, Ward? If he came out of retirement and fought him, I think that would be a good fight. It'll be a spectacle if Tank fought him, but it's going to sell because it's Tank and then it's Jake Paul, so that's going to sell. Shoot, I think the simple fact that the size and the weight differential, I think that will make it sell in itself because it will be such a spectacle. And because Jake is, I guess, quote unquote, known for having power in his right hand, and Tank is known for having power, so they would try to sell it like that. So it's all kind of interesting to me. But I don't know. We just gonna have to see about that. Hopefully, whoever he decide to fight next, Jake Paul, that is, it'd be somebody worth mentioning. Like maybe even like Andrew Tate. Shoot, fight someone. He's still relatively young, and shoot, he's retired. He's about like 5 years removed from kickboxing. He's not technically a boxer. He's a kickboxer. So that should be right up Jake Paul's alley. That would be a good fight. Andrew Tate and Jake Paul. I remember they was talking about fighting before. So, you know, do something like that. And if he just so happened to beat Tate, then fight one of the world champions or something like that. And just see what happens from there. I don't know. But it's all interesting. Hopefully this is not going to be the current state of boxing, because that's what will make it lose its interest if you see like stuff like this. So now it's up to the active fighters to actually fight each other, which I'm glad you got people like Turkey Al Sheikh from Saudi Arabia involved in the sport now, because now he's getting the promoters together and getting these fights happening. So I don't know, maybe he can set something up with this stuff. We'll just have to wait and see. But I'm about to head and take it in, guys. I'm tired. I got a long day tomorrow, so I'm gonna holler at y'all. Peace. Hit the like and subscribe too if you haven't already.